plenty of fun as we get ready for this final preseason game. The Blazers taking on the Utah Jazz. And if you want to join in on the conversation, you know what to do. Like usual, head over to youtube.com. Type in Rip City Radio. You can jump on the YouTube chat. If you see anything going awry, if you're like, whoa, the YouTube chat's off, it sounds weird, shoot me a message on the old YouTube or on Twitter at Chris J. Burkhardt. I'm trying out some new fancy stuff over here. So we're trying to go live from the concourse, as fancy as that is, right? So hopefully we can get that done and enjoy the show here. And we got a fun one because the Blazers get to take on the Utah Jazz in what is the final preseason game of this early season slate for the Blazers before they open the season against the Golden State Warriors. And hopefully the Blazers can continue some of that hot play that we saw just a few nights ago against Ratio Farm. That was a pretty impressive game for your Blazers. They came out, I thought they played pretty hot early on. Well, excuse me, didn't play hot early on. They kind of came out slow, and then once they flexed, they got out to the big lead, and then there really was no looking back, at least for the starters. The bench got in some rotation minutes, took over for the second half for the most part, and it was pretty much smooth sailing, even though the score was 111-100 in favor of your Portland Trailblazers. The biggest lead for Portland was a 20-point lead. That was quite more than the 3-point lead that was the biggest lead for Ratio Farm, and that was early in this game. But I think the important one was just how the team looked. I thought this was a great game for Denny Advia. Really a good chance for him to show up and show out, and I thought he did that. After having just 5 points against Sacramento, he came in this one. He had 18 points with 6 of 9 shooting, and what I loved about his game was that he was definitely always 100%. He was in playmaking mode. Like, you could tell that he was in playmaking mode. He wanted to get out there and always kind of look ahead for the next play to see where he could pass the ball or who was open, who was making cuts. It wasn't even necessarily to get to the shot. It was just to keep the ball moving, and I love that. Did he have a few turnovers because of that? Of course, but it was overall just really, really good to see him be a playmaker, which gets me excited when you get to a situation where Ant's on the floor, and we'll see if he plays tonight. I know that Coach was talking about him ramping up and being ready. He didn't play in that game against Ratio Farm, but when you think about Ant being such a good catch and shoot guy, you can put the ball in Denny's hands and have a really reliable shooter on the wing. So I love that. Getting playmakers around the already good athletic young playmakers you have is really, really key for your Portland Trailblazers. So I loved what I saw from Denny Advia, and the interesting part too is he's not only looked good, but he gets the start and he's playing next to Toumani Camara. And now there was big debate amongst Blazer fans as I was getting into the post-game chats as to whether or not that's a smart move. Like, oh, Toumani is more of a 3 and you need to play him there, and why is Denny starting there? To Toumani, I'll tell you what. When you watch Toumani on the court right now, if you're fortunate enough to be out at the game tonight, Toumani Camara, he's huge. Like, he has bulked up. He is bigger than he was last year. If you want to play him at that 4 position, he fits it quite well. If you want to put him at the 3, he fits it quite well. And heck, I wouldn't be surprised if, given injuries and the way things have gone, that you start this season and maybe he's your starting 2 guard. Like, that's how versatile he is. You absolutely love to see it from him. And in this game, if you listen to the 5th quarter, I gave him my game ball. I thought he was the best player on the court. He brought it defensively, offensively. He's playing with confidence. And, like, that was something last year. We're like, oh, if Toumani Camara can just get the offensive game going, we got ourselves a player here. We being the Portland Trailblazers, right? And so the fact that he is playing with confidence on the offensive end, he's looking to get his shots mostly by attacking the basket. It's like, okay, we're clicking on that, and we already know we can click on the defensive end. Things are looking pretty good, right? What's not to like? So I love that from Toumani Camara. I think he's been the MVP of the Blazers through the early part of the preseason. I absolutely do. He's been very, very good, very, very just all over the place, really. No other way to put it. He's been just a pest defensively, which is exactly what you want out of Toumani Camara. And, again, offensively, the offensive numbers and the aggressiveness are coming around. So is he going to go out there and score you 25, 30 points every single night? No, probably never. But if he is going to be a consistent 15-point-a-night guy and bring you the defense that he does every single night, that's the type of guy that you want to get on the floor as often as possible. So kudos to him for coming out and playing so well here in the early preseason. DeAndre Ayton, he didn't play that much. He played just 17 minutes. He had 13 points and 8 boards in that time. Toumani Camara, as I said, he did have 15 and 10. Give you his stat line as well. Ryan Rupert got the start. He had 11 points and 4 rebounds, and another good performance from him. He's definitely vying for, the back end of the roster for sure. But for a guy who split time between the bigs and the G League team, like, this is a guy that might be able to be at the back end of that rotation if he continues to show that improvement. And really on the defensive side as well. Like, you're starting to see these guys show what we've been talking about for years with Chauncey Billups, right? Is just that ability to play really, really good defense. And I think that these guys are really starting to lean into that and make that their calling card, which is what you love to see. As for Scoot Henderson, who again got the start, it'll be interesting to see how things kind of flesh out when Ant is back in that lineup and he's fully healthy too, and you got Shaden Sharp. But Scoot had a solid game statistically. Okay, let's put it that way. It was a bounce back from some of the previous poor night shooting. He was 10 of 14 from the floor, 1 of 3 from deep, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. He had 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and no turnovers. 6 assists, no turnovers. I think I'll take that every day of the week, twice on Sunday, right? That's a great performance from your point guard, especially when it comes to that assist-to-turnover ratio. That's what you want. Keep in mind that first game against the Clippers, it was turnover city, right? So he's kind of brought that down. They were also playing Ratio Farm, so you don't know how much pressure they were giving him. And then he ended the night with 23 points. The bad part about that is, boy, did I think he went through the motions early in that game. I didn't like the fact that early on he was just kind of jogging back on defense, wasn't really being aggressive, whether he was trying to fight over picks and get to a guy and close out on the arc. Like, there was just no aggression offensively. Everything just looked lethargic and slow. I thought it was weird that he had a very, very nice highlight dunk, and there was still no emotion. He just dunked it and then turned around and jogged back down the court. Now, he did end up with a handful of steals in this one, 2 of them, according to the box score. And I watched those. I'm like, but were those good defense or were those just, circumstance? Because he was sitting back, almost cherry-picking it, letting the 4-on-4 play out and just sit back. And when the other team gets the ball and pushes back, boom, there he was, got the steal. So, again, I don't know if that was good defense or right place at the right time. I wanted to see him be more aggressive. And it was funny because I text someone like, man, what is up with Scoot? And no sooner did I text it that it was like, oh, my gosh, the monster, or the Red Bull finally kicked in. And then he brought it for the rest of the second quarter and the second half. He looked like a different player. And a little bit of frustration in that because you're like, okay, if that's the player that you can be, just go be that every single game from start to finish. That's what you want. And it's just a struggle to get it going there right now. If he can be like he was for the middle chunk of that game, then you're on to something. And that's what the Blazers need. They need Scoot to be out there all the time, hammering things home, being aggressive on defense. Because after I said it, he looked slow. He looked lethargic. In the third quarter, he was fighting through picks. He was closing out on shooters. And that's what you want from Scoot. That's what you want. And then you couple that with how he plays offensively, play more in control, keep the turnovers down. That's how you get on the floor. And I think he was fighting for it in the middle part of that game. He didn't start that way. He definitely didn't start that way. But once he started rolling, it was like a rock going downhill, right? It was just gaining momentum, and you love to see that from. Now, for me, it's just a matter of coming out of the gates that way. Like, he doesn't really seem like the type of player that needs to feel the game out, right? Or is sitting there and, reads the situation before he finally finds his time to strike. I just want to see him get out there and strike quick. That's what I need from him. I think that's what fans want from him. They don't want those slow starts and looking bad. Box score-wise, he looked great. Eye test, I just want him to come out there and just pump it up, man. He is so talented, and you can see it. You can see it. I just want to see it for the full 48 minutes. Looking at the rest of the Blazers bench, though, Donovan Clingan got in this one, played 20 minutes. He had 4 points and 11 rebounds. And I said during last game day that what I was really looking forward to was seeing Donovan Clingan in person, because everyone tells you how big he is and how he dwarfs everybody else on the court. And Ratio Farm had a guy on their roster listed at 7 foot as well. I believe it was Nicholas Bretzel. And when he stood next to Donovan Clingan, he looked small. And at the same time, a little bit later, when Donovan Clingan wasn't on the floor and he was standing next to Dwap Reith, he looked big, right? Like the idea that Donovan Clingan makes people next to him look small is absolutely real. Like, it is a real thing, and you got to give it to him. He had a block in this one where he didn't even try. All he did was put his hand up and just push down. Didn't even have to jump and got the block. Those are epic kind of things that you want to see him do all season long, all year long, man. You love to see it, right? He's going to develop into what I think is a true defensive anchor type center. The offense, I think, will eventually come around, but just Donovan Clingan, as advertised when it comes to being a giant human. So at least he's got that going for him, and I do love to see him out there on the court. He still moves like a 7-footer. When he runs down the court, he looks like a 7-footer running down the court. And I still think there's a couple times on defense where he's still kind of looking for where he's supposed to be within the scheme of things. But as an individual defender, very good. Very good. And when he figures out how to play it within the scheme of all 5 people on the floor, I think he's going to be even better. This is Blazers Game Day. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. You can jump on the YouTube stream. Go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and send us your comments there. You can also go to Twitter or X, whichever one you would like to call it. It still goes by both, and type in Chris J. Burkhardt and start a conversation there. And, of course, you can just dial the phone lines, 503-248-0620. When we come back, we're going to head to the Coach's Corner. We're going to head down live to the press conference room and hear what Coach Billups has to say. He'll probably have something to say about Matisse Thybulle. This tweet just coming out from Trailblazers PR. Matisse Thybulle underwent a procedure Thursday to address inflammation in his right knee. Thybulle will continue rehabilitation and expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks. So that one coming from the Portland Trailblazers. We'll get more on that. We'll ask Coach Billups about it, hopefully, and talk what that means for the Blazers rosters coming up on Blazers Game Day. Test, test, test. How we doing? YouTube, I'm trying some stuff here. Let's see if my screen changes and you can hear me. Test, test, test. I should come up on your YouTube stream in just a second. We're having fun here because look at us. We're we're live. We're at Moda Center. We're in the concourse here. I'm talking to you during a commercial break. Look at that. That's fancy. I can talk to people during the break. Now I got to make sure that I get things done properly so that we actually hear Coach. I don't know which one that is. Hopefully I turned the right knob. But I got it set up. And we're here. We are streaming live on YouTube. I need to get a nicer background, though. This thing's terrible. I got to fix that. All right, that does it for my quick little test, though. I'm going to head back into the darkness of the break, and we'll be back in just a second.
DC. Donovan.
Do you think with DA in there for Donovan, is that likely what you're going to go with opening night?
I'm not sure yet. I want to just take a peek at it. I haven't had a chance to see a lot of rotations, only having 4 games. Be good to have some practices over the next few days, so we'll see.
How is Scoot different year 2?
He's had a good camp. He really has. He's more confident. Seems he's playing with a lot more just ferocity. He's attacking that basket. I always tell him his superpower is that, his speed, is him being able to attack and put pressure on the rim, pressure on the paint, and then make plays from there. He's been doing a really good job of that in year 2, So I've been happy for him. He's gotten better.
What have you seen out of having Toumani and Denny together? I know you did that in the Kings game that you liked or that you at least noticed, I guess.
Yeah, they're both just very different, obviously, but they both bring different things. Toumani is he's kind of like the spirit of our team. He takes charges all game. He gets offensive rebounds. He's guarding people full court. He's just that type of guy. He's made a tremendous jump, this summer. And then Denny is just like a Swiss Army knife. He put him anywhere. He can play make, can make shots for you. He's a good rebounder, guard. So they're different. They both have really good size, and I think they're starting to build a little chemistry out there.
I guess what I'm asking too is kind of like having those guys in the starting lineup alongside Ant. Maybe like the size gives you a little more versatility, or kind of games give you the versatility.
That's the one thing you want to look at. It's just we've been very deficient there since I've been here. To be honest, so it's the one thing that excites you about it. You can match up size-wise with anybody. Or with most teams at least. So that's. I said a friend of mine was teasing me one day last year, and he was like, "Man, our team was so short, so small." And he was like, "Man, if I send y'all in the airport, I don't even know if I asked y'all if y'all was a basketball team." So I was killing him for that, but I think people would know that we were a basketball team right now.
How do you, playing center in the NBA is so dramatically different than what they do in college?
Yeah.
Do you have Donovan watch film with certain players? If so, whom? How do you get him to grasp what's just such a totally different job?
Yeah, it's different. It's different. The speed of the game is different. The spacing of the game is everything's different. It's been good for him to get some of these reps. It'd be awesome for him tonight. Starting the game against a guy like Walker if he starts. But it's still against their team, the way that they play. He does. He watches certain guys, but also having a guy like Rob Williams around has really been helpful for him. He's such a smart, heady player, and he knows most of all the other players, just in terms of player development and studying. So having Rob around has been really good for him. And then being able to go up against DA every day, has been really good for him. DA's had a really good camp. He's been playing really hard. And then having to guard a guy like WAP or Reef, as y'all know him, pick and pop 5, which is kind of difficult for him with his size. So he's getting a lot of experience just with what we're doing right now, and he's doing a good job.
Overall with Donovan, is he kind of about where you expected him to be at the end of preseason and camp coming in, or where do you feel like he's at right now?
Yeah, I think he's about where I thought he was at. He's young. He's very, he got no experience. He's inexperienced right now, but he does 2 things right off the top that you say he's going to be really good at. He rebounds, and he does a good job for his size. He does a good job of rebounding out of his area, not just the ones that come to him. He'll go get some, keep it alive and get it, which is pretty good for him. And then, rim protection. And I think sometimes right now the speed of these guys surprise him. So where he would easily block those in college, those dudes are, quick laying him and getting it over. So the speed of the game he has to catch up to. But those two things he'll be pretty elite at, in my opinion, as he gets stronger, as he gets older, as he starts to understand teams and the NBA. It will only get better.
Chauncey, on that line with Donovan, the rebounding, shot blocking, a lot of the defensive screen setting, the physicality is all there. It's only been a couple opportunities, but it was something in college too. The physicality isn't as prevalent on the offensive side, particularly around the rim. How do you go about bringing that out in him?
Yeah, I think you obviously do it through player development, but at the end of the day, you just gotta get stronger, man. You gotta get stronger. You gotta get your core and his lower half needs to get stronger. He's like I said, he's like a deer. He's like a Bambi. Like his limbs are just going everywhere, and once he gets stronger, you'll be able to clean those things up. But it's not until that happens that you get better there.
Is it a big concern for you starting the season without Matisse and Shaden?
I don't like it. I definitely don't like it. But you do what you got to do. You do what you got to do. But those two guys obviously were, a big part of our rotation, and what we want to do. But we'll survive.
Thanks, Chauncey.
There you heard from head coach Chauncey Billups, and Anthony Simons is a go in this one, so that's good for Blazer fans. He'll get the start along with Tamani Kamara, Denny Advia, Jeremy Grant, and Donovan Clingan. And there's a couple things to watch out here for. First off, DeAndre Ayton getting the rest, right? So Clingan's going to start in at center, but coach is going with Tumani at the 2, Denny, and then Jeremy Grant. And I definitely think come the gate opener, speaking's hard sometimes. I got a Duck game on here. I'm trying to watch my Ducks win too, okay? But once the season comes and starts against the Golden State Warriors, would not be shocked if that's your starting lineup with DA instead of Clingan. So Ant, Tumani, Denny, Grant, and then DA. That gives the Blazers one big lineup. Definitely nice to have a little bit of size, a little bit of height out there for once. So that'll be interesting. See how they play together tonight. I also like Clingan getting a little bit run with that starting lineup. See how he plays next to Jeremy. See how he plays with some extra minutes with Denny Avia, who again was a great playmaker in that game against Ratio Farm, and I think that's maybe an underrated part of his game. I think he's going to be very, very good on that end and turn a lot of heads for your Portland Trail Blazers. A couple other things Coach Billups said that I want to hint at and talk about. Well, we'll talk about them when we come back after a quick break here on Blazers Game Day. If you want to join the conversation with me, just go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and you can chime off in the comment sections. If you want me to talk about the Ducks, I'll talk about the Ducks. They are up right now on Purdue. Jordan James with a nice little 8-yard touchdown run to give the Ducks the early 7-0 lead. Now they got the ball back on the Purdue 20, looking to get up to 14-zip. Go Ducks, baby. No letdown after Ohio State, please. Just keep it rolling. That's what I need from you. You can also join the conversation at YouTube or at Twitter or X, whichever one you want to call it. Type in Chris J. Burkhardt. You can follow me there. And, of course, the telephone number, the handy telephone number, 503-248-0620. Plenty more Blazer talk coming up as we get you ready for the Utah Jazz taking on the Portland Trail Blazers in the final preseason game for your home team right here on your home of your home team, Rip City Radio 620. I apologize, YouTube. Talking's tough. I'm going to sit here and chat with YouTube, though. What's up? Yeah, you're good. No. I am, but you're not. Game day, Chris Burkhardt here with you, having a little bit of fun as I'm watching the Ducks take care of business against Purdue, wearing my Duck jacket, laughing at my wife because she was complaining about commercials. So go listen on YouTube, and she's like, I'm not hearing anything. Well, I'm not playing commercials on YouTube. That's why you're not hearing anything. I will pot up and talk to my loyal fans every once in a while, though. But thanks for tuning in, babe. Also, cracking up, too, on non-Blazer related stuff. Friend of the show and Trocasters podcaster, Keith Feltner-Smith. I saw him in a conversation today with a bunch of Blazer fans saying that he saw a bald eagle today. And someone else said they saw one in the central Willamette Valley. I saw one the other day coming home from work on I-205. I kid you not. Right outside Oregon City, right by like the Gladstone exit, right? There was a bald eagle just flying. I was like, whoa. And then I saw one a while back going to Vancouver. I mean, this was maybe 2 months ago, going to Vancouver, just going over the bridge there, onto the island. I was like, that, man, they're so hard to see sometimes. I saw two of them in like the span of a month here in Portland. Usually I go out to Eastern Oregon, go up into the mountain, then you see them, and they go around the lake all the time, getting in, trying to catch some fish, but no, you don't see them here too often. But maybe it is a good omen for the Blazers tonight as they take on the Utah Jazz in the final preseason game for your Portland Trail Blazers. But not all is well, because there was some late breaking news right before we went to our first commercial break, tweeted out by your Portland Trail Blazers, and that is that Matisse Thybulle underwent a procedure Thursday to address inflammation in his right knee. He will continue rehab and is expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks. So add him to the early season injury list, right? Matisse Thybulle out for now 3 to 4 weeks. Shaden Sharp still out for a handful of weeks as he deals with that torn labrum. And then you have Robert Williams, who's still out as he deals with the hamstring tightness. So not a good start to the Blazers. On the plus side of injury news, Anthony Simons, who's been dealing with some injuries, will be playing tonight, playing his first game of the preseason. Hasn't played against the Clippers, didn't play against Kings, did not play against Ratio Farm. That would mean he is making his debut, Chris. And it's a big one because I think the Blazers want to see what they have in him. Blazer fans want to see him. As I've seen some of the local media members tweet, the Blazers are just an Anthony Simons away from having a competent offense sometimes. I mean, he gives you your ball handler back, gives you a great shot maker back, gives you a great scorer back. Like Anthony Simons does so many things for this team, so having him back will be huge, and they're going to need it tonight against the Utah Jazz. And they're just going to need it just get a little bit of an extra boost. And as I said earlier, I'm really, really eager to see, now that we know he's officially playing, how he plays next to Denny Advia, because Denny Advia, his playmaking was on full display in that game against Ratio Farm. The fact that he was making all the plays that he needed to do, he was always looking for the next play, which was big. Like, I love the passes he was making. He'd get his back against his defender, back him up a little bit, and then next thing you know, he'd make the pass out, and he was just you could tell one thing that he likes to do is he likes to draw defenders to open up the lanes for him to find scores. And I like that. I absolutely like that from him. So it's going to be huge as he continues to grow within this offense. And when you put a guy like Anthony Simons next to him, who is a great catch-and-shoot player, then when he starts to get the ball in his hands and make those plays, then hopefully you're going to have someone who can pay it off, right? It sucks when you're out there trying to make plays and your guy can't hit an open shot no matter what, and you never get that return on investment of being a good team player. But when you get Ant out there next to him, I think it's going to be great. I also think you're going to see a lot of situations where maybe Ant's on the floor and doesn't have the ball in his hands, because I think Denny might be the best playmaker on this roster right now when it comes to creating with the ball and opening things up for those around him. And it's also what you want Scoot to be in the long run, because Scoot's supposed to be a good passing guard, and he's shown that over the last few games, especially again with that assist to turnover ratio. But if you can get those playmakers and then find your shooters, I mean, Denny to Jeremy, Denny to Ant, right? You saw the hookup early. I'm like, they've only played a game and a half together now, and you're seeing Denny Advia just try to throw lobs to DeAndre Ayton, right? And they were working. And you love to see that. So when you get the playmakers with a healthy roster around him, That's going to be huge, and especially, again, your final preseason game tonight. Utah gives you a little bit more of a test than Ratio Farm did, that's for sure. And then you start the regular season at home, and you got Golden State, and you got the Pelicans, and you're on the ground running. 82-game journey to the end of the season. What Trailblazer team are you going to be? Like, that's the question. What Trailblazer team are you going to be? Because we sit here and we question, what are they doing? Are they going to be tanking again? Is it capture the flag season? Are they going to put their best foot forward and see if they can win some games? And like, I don't know what this team can be. Like, I look on paper and I'm like, okay, let's just assume everyone's fully healthy for a second, okay? And I look on paper, I'm like, a team that's out there starting Ant and Shea and Denny and Jeremy and D.A. with Donovan Clingan and Tumani Kamara and Scoot Henderson, right? Matisse Thybulle healthy, Robert Williams. That's a good ball club. Is it a championship contender? Probably not, but is it a good ball club? Yes. And that's where I struggle, because everyone's already talking tank, because capture the flag. Cooper Flag's a generational guy, and the draft is deep, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I look at a team that can win games, and that's where I struggle with which path they're going to go. I do think because of that, though, we might see a little bit different tank than we're used to, because I think this team's going to be fun to watch. I hope this year does not have a repeat of 60-point losses. That would not be great, right? But if you're in ball games and you're giving people a reason to come to Moda, it doesn't really matter if you're tanking or you're losing a lot of games. Give people something they can enjoy and they want to come invest in and understand the bigger picture, right? And you start building that bigger picture and you start painting with broader strokes and you get everything, and people start looking at it like that's a work of art. That's a work of art, and that's what the Blazers have right here, and they have plenty of really good pieces to make that art right now. Again, this team, I mean, can you build around Shaedon Sharpe and Donovan Clingan, and Denny Avdia's on that timeline too, and it's like you got a lot of young guys who can play really, really well next to each other. How does it look as you continue to shape it out? That's going to be the question. That's going to be the question. Who's going to be on the move? Who's going to bring in more pieces? Who's going to bring you the draft picks to get in there? I mean, part of the reason you played Ratio Farm on Wednesday was because they have 2 potential draft picks on that roster by themselves, 2 potential lottery picks. And it gave Portland a chance to see those guys, because maybe Portland isn't sitting at number 1, but maybe they're sitting at 7. Been there before. Maybe they're sitting at 8 or 9 or 10 and have a chance to bring in some more of those young, talented guys. So that was a good reason. But again, how does this all shape out? You got pieces you can move, but what ones do you want to move? I think every single player on this roster is movable, but which ones do you want to move, and how do you want to build your roster? You have different avenues, I think. I think it's quite obvious, though, that the youth movement is the way that they're leaning. I think that was clear when they traded Damian Lillard. But then you look at guys like DeAndre Ayton, and you're like, he's not old. He's not even old in NBA terms yet. He's still, you know, his age still starts with a 2. That's a good thing, right? Denny Avdia, who's super young. Tumani Kamara, Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson. Still got young pieces on this team that I think, and you put it all together, something good can happen. At least I hope something good can happen. Taking it away from basketball for a second, your update in the world of college football. The Oregon Ducks put another one in the end zone. They got a 14-zip lead over the Purdue Boilermakers with 3:34 left in the first quarter. Dylan Gabriel, 120 yards passing. Jordan James, 26 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. When it comes to passing, Evan Stewart leading the way with 2 receptions for 63 yards. So good start for your Oregon Ducks. Mateo Uiagalelei having another solid game. I thought he was my MVP of that win over Ohio State. Now, most Duck fans are like, oh, you could have given the MVP to Gabriel. You could have given the MVP to Jordan James for having a good. You could have given it to Evan Stewart. Man, Mateo stepping up with Jordan Burkhardt, huge, and he's having another good game here against Purdue as the Ducks lead 14-0. Go Ducks, go Ducks! All right, we're gonna take a quick break here on Blazer Game Day. When we come back, I want to hand out my keys to the game. What do the Blazers need to do to win this game against the Utah Jazz in their final tune-up before the 82-game journey that is the NBA regular season starts against the Golden State Warriors here at Moda Center. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. You can join the conversation at youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and you can see our live stream, or you can go over to Twitter or X, whichever one you want to call it, and type in Chris J. Burkhardt and send your tweets at me over there. One more segment to go before we toss it over to Chad and get you ready for Blazers versus Jazz here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. much as it is just a request in this one, and that is don't get hurt. Don't get hurt. Leave your final preseason game healthy. That'll be a key to everything moving forward. We don't want to see no more injuries. As we've talked about earlier, Shaden Sharp, Matisse Thybulle, Robert Williams already sitting out with some long-term injuries. Simons missed most of the preseason because he was dealing with a lingering injury. He's good to go, so he'll get the start tonight, so that'll be good to see. DA is out, but that one's just due to rest, so we don't got to get too worried. But if you're just tuning in, there was that late breaking news right before Chauncey Billups talked to the media today that Matisse Thybulle will be out 3 to 4 weeks after he had a minor procedure to reduce some inflammation. So just stay healthy. That's what I want to see from the Blazers tonight. Get in, play well, maybe get a dub, get out healthy. Like the loss, the win, that doesn't matter as much. Just get healthy. From a box score standpoint, though, if you're the Blazers, I need you to defend the three-point line just a little bit better in this one. See, Ratio Farm couldn't attack you inside. They just didn't have the size to go against the Blazers when you're throwing DA and Dwight Breathe and Donovan Clingan out there, right? They relied on the three-point shot, and they hit it effectively in this one. They made 83 shots total. 46 of their, attempted 83 shots. 46 of those attempts were from beyond the arc. That's insane. They made 20 of those 46 attempts, shot 43% from deep. The Blazers made just 5. They made 5. Ratio Farm made 20. That is plus 45 from beyond the arc. Quite often, if a team is plus 45 from beyond the arc, they boat raced you. But Ratio Farm just couldn't hit mid-range shots and couldn't get anything done in the paint against the bigger team, right? But they could hit that three-point shot. And if Utah can get that three-point shot off too, unfortunate for the Blazers, they have size. And they can beat you inside. And they can hit the mid-range. This is an NBA team. They're going to find an easy way to beat you if you don't defend that three-point arc. So the Blazers have to get out there, have to fight through those picks like Scoot, right? What he didn't do early in the game was fight through and close out on shooters. Now, late in the game, the flip switched, and he did. And I want to see that from the jump tonight, being aggressive and attacking defenders. Also, one thing I did like about, again, the size mattered, but one thing I loved about as one, I just imagine Shacker laughing because I said size mattered. Go team. All right, but what I want to see in this one again is just being aggressive on the boards. Yes, the Blazers were far bigger than the team they were playing, but they took advantage of that. They didn't rest on that, and they were aggressive on the glass. They out-rebounded Ratio Farm 48-31. That's big time. That's big time. Are there going to be nights here in the NBA where they can out-rebound their opponent? Absolutely, now that they're playing with a very, very big lineup. I mean, Tamani Kamara, who was basically playing power forward a game ago, is playing shooting guard today. Tamani Kamara, Denny Advia, Jeremy Grant, Donovan Clingan in your starting lineup. That's a team built for boards, right? Be aggressive. Be aggressive on the boards. Attack the Utah Jazz, make them work for it. And even if you lose the rebound battle, man, you're building something. That's what I like to see. What do you think the keys to the game are? Do you have keys to the game? Tweet them at me, at Chris J. Burkhardt, or go on to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and join the chat where Marcus says, hopefully not skateboarding related. Okay, come on now. Now, I'm just trying to think of what is the key to just getting out of this one. And again, it's just the health. That's all I really care about at the end of the day. Don't get hurt. And let's get to the regular season ready to go. DA will be ready to go. You got a couple lingering injuries. That's going to be key. That's going to be, remember, after the game, to come right back here for the fifth quarter. We'll be live on YouTube if I can get it all set up. That will be huge. I'm trying to get us live here from the concourse, which is kind of nice so that Shacker doesn't have to pull the they put a screen up and just make me talk over it the whole time. I don't like that. And Marcus says the thigh bone injury, and I get what you're laying down. It just kind of made me chuckle because he was asked that. For those of you who don't know, he was asking about like skateboarding and stuff. And yeah, I can't be doing that. That's I got a contract, and it's funny. And the thing is, people have done that before, Marcus, and I know that's why you're making that joke because like you've seen people like, I'm not supposed to ride motorcycles, and have it literally written in their contract that they're not supposed to. So I laugh because you hope that the injury wasn't skateboard related, especially after he'd making a joke about it on media day. And Travis says, "Let's go. He's going to be in attendance. Can't wait." Well, Travis, I can't wait too. And if you're up here in section 330, up in the 300 level after the game, come say hi before the 5th quarter. I'll be up here. I'm up here now too. You can come say hi when I tear down before I go get some food because I'm hungry. It's media dinner time before tip off here. But I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun to get this last game under your belt, get the fans in here, enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the game, and hopefully the Blazers win. Marcus, Odin, and Dance Dance Revolution. There's an injury. Marcus, go look up baseball injuries because sometimes they have the weirdest ones, like players being put on IR because of a pillow fight. Yeah, that's happened before. Injuries are crazy. We got to get out of here, though. Coming up next here on Rip City Radio 620, it is the Blazers pregame show with Chad Doing on the Blazers Audio Network. And then you'll have Blazers versus Jazz. And, of course, as soon as it's all done, right back here on YouTube and on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. It's the 5th quarter with yours truly. We will talk to you after this one. Hopefully we're talking about a Blazer win. Alrighty. Sweet. YouTube, I'm still going for a second. You know why? Because I can. Radio's turned off, but I'm right here because I set up a little camera. We had some fun. Marcus is laughing at me now. You're welcome, Marcus. This is Game Day Extra with Chris Burkhardt. This should be a thing where I just continue the show on YouTube just for you guys. But yes, look up baseball injuries, Marcus. There's wild ones. Pretty sure someone got hurt playing Guitar Hero before. Like, I had to reach over to Orange too many times, strain the muscle in here, couldn't pitch the next day. Right? But anyway, I do have to go eat, truly and really, so I am going to leave YouTube. You guys have been awesome. We'll see you after the game, though, on the 5th quarter. Come back, Marcus. Come back, Travi. Join the chat. We'll have some fun. Hopefully we're talking about a Blazer win. You guys are awesome. Talk to you soon.